Welcome, friends, to another exciting episode of A VGM Journey. And I'm your host, The Messenger. The track that we're playing in this week's show is Imbalanced Kiss from the game Yu Yu Hakusho Makyou Touitsusen, and that was composed by Hiro Takahashi. We've got some really good tracks for you guys this week, and even a few track requests from listeners, which I'm pretty sure you guys are dying to listen to. So I say, let's kick things off with our first request, which is coming from Matt Sheldon of Commodore Gaming. He wanted me to play the track The Grimm Troupe from Hollow Knight, Gods and Nightmares, and that was composed by Christopher Larken. That track that you just heard, that was The Grimm Troupe from Hollow Knight, Gods and Nightmares. That was composed by Christopher Larken, and that was requested by Matt Sheldon. So thank you, Matt, for that request. Hollow Knight is the kind of game that sounds like totally up my alley. It's got a nice art style, kind of grim looking, but there's something slightly pleasant about it. And the music is pretty fantastic. And I could picture this to be boss music with its epic organs and somewhat unsettling sound. And Matt even had this playlist for RPG Night where he actually had a lot of Hollow Knight music in that playlist. And I remember him telling me that it was pretty epic. And this is definitely a soundtrack that I want to delve deeper in. So I think just this track alone, I think it's really good. So I just want to say once again, thank you, Matt, for that request. We're going to move on to another request, and this is a bit different, but this is coming from Professor Tom from Shujin Academy VGM Club, and he wanted me to play the track Popcorn from Persona Q2 New Cinema Labyrinth, and that track was composed by Atsushi Kitajoh. That track that you just heard, that was Popcorn from the game Persona Q2 New Cinema Labyrinth. That was composed by Atsushi Kitajoh and requested by Professor Tom. So thank you, Professor Tom, for that request. I feel like if Professor Tom was quizzing me on music and music terminology, I would probably fail, but I can best describe this track as swanky, but also funky at the same time. And I think based off the title and the vibe that I'm getting from this track, this either takes place in a movie theater or I think that movies are a major factor in the plot and gameplay of the game. And what's weird is that I could also best describe this track as feeling both chill, but also confident at the same time. It's really weird to me, the feelings that I get from this track, because I don't really feel one feeling, but it always seems to be like a mixture of things. But I dig it, and even Carly, my fiance, she listened to the track and she really dug it as well. So I just want to say once again, thank you, Professor Tom, for that track. This next track, it's coming from a childhood classic for me, and that is Downtown Bikini Bottom from the game SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, and that was composed by Jimmy Levine, Robert Crew, and Alex Wilkinson. That track that you just heard, that was Downtown Bikini Bottom from the game SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, and that was composed by Jimmy Levine, Robert Crew, and Alex Wilkinson. That track really brings me back. And the game itself was a lot of fun. I mean, it had to be so good that almost 20 years later, it gets an HD remake or a remaster. Because I think at first glance, you could think that it's a crappy license game, but if you actually play it, it's actually really well made, and the soundtrack is surprisingly really good too. I mean, it's nothing mind blowing, but there's a lot of catchy tunes. And what's really weird about it is that it sounds like it could be on the show, but it also has a lot more. I don't know if energy would be the right word, but it does have a slightly different vibe to it. More video gamey, I would say. But you still get that surf beach type relaxing music that you kind of get in the show. So at least it's faithful in that front. I think this next track's really cool. And it's coming from the game Airport CEO. The track is JFK Cadence, and it was composed by Anton Dromberg. That track that you just heard, that was JFK Cadence from the game Airport CEO, and that was composed by Anton Dromberg. And that's going to just about do it for the show this week. If you like what you've been listening to, have your friends check out the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever podcatching service that you can think of. I'm more than likely going to be on there. You can email the show at vgmjourney@yahoo.com, and you could also check us out on Twitter at vgmjourney. We also have a Discord server for the show, which I will provide a link for that in the show notes, where you could hang out with your fellow VGM journeymen and talk about games, arts. Seems like we've been getting a lot of hockey talk in there too, so there's always that. And we're going to play things out with one more track. And this is coming from the game Robots. This is Aunt Fanny's Gallery, and that was composed by Ian Stalker. Have a good week, everyone.